Do you need someone to talk to? Do you need a mentor? Do you need a coach for your sports or something? Maybe AI is the solution for you. Today I talked to Khalid Baker from Second Self. He's the CEO and founder, and he creates AI companions. Could be for business, could be mostly personal, could be an influencer, could be an important person. He is really into the topic. And before I talk too much, let's start. Hi, Khalid Baker. Welcome to Beginner's Guide to AI. You are CEO and founder of Second Self. But before I talk too much, you are the guy who can talk about you. What did you get into AI and what do you actually do?
Thank you, Dietmar. I appreciate the introduction. It's awesome to be on your podcast. I'm excited to be teaching people about something I'm so passionate about, which is AI, which is what we're here to discuss today. But so my name is Khalid. I'm the CEO of SecondSelf.AI. What we do is we allow people of influence to clone themselves using our proprietary AI technology. So essentially, they could create a second version, hence the name Second Self, of themselves to allow people who want to talk to them 24/7 access, which also allows them to monetize their likeness, which gives control back to the person of influence at the end of the day. That's a little bit of background of Second Self. Me myself, I've been building this company, building this platform and this technology for the last 2 years now. We are progressing. We're building a very compelling platform. Hopefully, we'll get something really, really incredible by the end of this year. I'm looking forward to putting further work into what we're building this industry, creating the narrative around AI into something that's not something to be afraid of, but something to embrace, something to truly, take into your daily life.
Yeah. I like the thing with the daily life. So the point is, there's many people saying AI is now for programmers, which is great. And people should do that, should do programming. Or actually, before I forget it, what's your background? What did get you into AI? I'm also curious about that.
Yeah, so I'm a lifelong technologist, programmer. I went to school for a few years for programming, dropped out. I'm a self-taught for the most part. And overall, I've always been into innovative technologies. So anything that I came across that seemed like the next wave of a specific thing. I'd say the first start I had really, I'm pretty young. I'm 22 years old. So I've only been around in the entrepreneurial tech world for, maybe 4 or 5 years. So the first thing I got into was actually blockchain technology. Which I'm still into today with cryptocurrency, blockchain, non-fungible tokens, things of that nature. So that's kind of where I dived into this revolutionary technology sort of world that I've entered now with AI. So my background, I'd say, is a lifelong technologist, entrepreneurial by nature. When I started off, building crypto projects, basically creating coins, working in the blockchain, working with deployment of coins and NFTs. I came across, or I was using AI a lot in my code as a whole. Just the nature of my code was, the way I like to think of it is, I don't want to be coding. I want to be able to sit back and relax while a robot is writing my code.
Right. Yeah.
I don't want to be there writing the lines. I want to be the one monitoring the bot writing my line, essentially. So that's how I started using AI. Then there were some applications in image generation, video generation, and obviously working with LLMs, which are large language models. ChatGPT, Claude, Sonnet, Mistral, Llama. Those are your typical LLMs that you'll see. And ever since then, I fell in love with it, started doing a ton of research and development. I think it is the new technological advancement as a whole in human society. I think since the internet was essentially made something for turn it into something for regular everyday people, not some sort of government resource or something that is used for professionals or agencies or, for secure data encryption and all that, and to turn it into something where people could just go on there and essentially create a life for themselves. I mean, I'd say, I don't know about you, but Dietmar, but most of my life is on the internet. I mean, I'd say maybe 70% of my life is on the internet, 30% is in the real world. If I lose my internet life, my real life is not relevant anymore. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
I do. My money comes from the internet. My relationships take place on the internet. Um, you know, most of my entertainment comes through the internet.
Yeah.
So as a whole, I'd say we transition to living a digital life. And I think AI is the single most progressive technology that's come in this digital age that we live in, that's going to make overall the biggest impact.
I want to in the prep talk we already had that, and you mentioned that now AI for the consumer, for the normal people, and not for the coders, or that is really that struck something in me, because people, I just heard of some research. They say, yeah, AI is not going to change anything just for programmers. But I think that let's come back to your firm, because you want to create a product for consumers, for normal people. Okay, it would work for business, but I think the real use is in the normal world, everyday world, like the internet we use today. Could you tell a little bit what you do there?
Yeah, so just to go back to what SecondSelf does, and to your point about creating application or use cases for AI for the regular everyday consumer, just for people who aren't technical, aren't tech savvy, most people, in the demographic of 35 to 65 age ranges, they don't even know how to operate their phone. So, if you're giving them something so advanced like AI, and you're telling them to configure things in that manner, you're going to lose them automatically. It's not going to be adopted to that level. You want to, obviously, the young tech savvy people are always going to adopt technologies like this. I think we're seeing it with crypto. We've seen it over the last few years with crypto. Is the barrier of entry is so high with crypto. You have to learn so many things before you ever can feel like an informed investor or just somebody who's an enthusiast to any degree. You have to have some sort of technical basis or baseline level technical expertise to get into that world. So that's exactly the barrier that I want to break with AI. Because I think right now where we're at with AI, like you said about that article that you read from MIT Research, again, it is a very useful.
Let's quickly talk about this article, because the people might not know. It's like companions, AI companions have a danger of making people addictive. And I had a citation from Isaac Asimov from 51, where on the other hand, it's AI companion might be a person you can trust. Those both things.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, and that's precisely what we do with Second Self. Like I mentioned in the beginning, Second Self, what we do specifically is we allow people of influence. You yourself, Dietmar, how many podcasts have you recorded? You said, what, 5?
Episodes is like, no, this interviews, I recorded a lot, but successful ones, let's say 10, 15 podcast episodes or something.
Okay, right. So you have podcast episodes, you'll have a social media presence. You're a person that has something to say that people want to hear.
I have Udemy classes. I have lots of material that can go into it.
There you go. You have tons of material. So you're somebody that people want to hear from and gain expertise, knowledge, whatever it may be. Even just have a basic conversation like we're having now. Maybe somebody wants to simulate a beginners to AI podcast with themselves, but they can't get access to you, Dietmar. Obviously, you don't have the time, you don't have the bandwidth to communicate with every person who's interested in communicating with you at all times, right? So what we do with Second Self is we use your content. We use the library of your content, whether it be, whatever you have from Udemy, YouTube, TikTok, Twitter posts, Instagram posts, podcasts, any sort of content, or even books, articles. I could populate a bot of you with almost anything. So what we do is we use our technology. It's called Scope. stands for Semantic Cognition and Organic Personality Engine. What we do with this technology is we take that content and we basically clone you. We make a second self of you that lives digitally online. It's using AI technology. It talks exactly like you. So it will sound like you, same voice, same accent. It'll sound like you. It'll have the same interaction styles and tone as you, same inflections, mannerisms, emotional output, all those things. What that makes you, you, we're able to put that into an AI of you. So that's precisely what we do. Now, the application for this in terms of how it can be used for people is there's two sorts of ways that we like to look at it. There's mentorship, one, and then there's relationships, two. So there's two sort of interaction styles that you're going to get. With mentorship, we're cloning somebody like you who has expertise, knowledge that people normally wouldn't have access to on a large scale. Or obviously, you know, if you want to get a coaching session with like Tony Robbins, for example, it's gonna run you like a couple $1,000 just to get a single session, right? So we're making these people accessible for a fraction, not even a fraction, a down to the decimal point of cost. You're basically paying nothing as opposed to what you would normally pay to talk to that person, while receiving 99% accuracy of what that person's expertise is, because we're using what that person teaches to communicate with whoever they're trying to mentor, coach, whatever it may be. That's one side of things. Secondly, is we've created an environment, a community where people can build real-time relationships, real emotional relationships with a machine. So the way I like to look at it, Dietmar, just to kind of get philosophical on you,
Perfect.
The connection between man and machine, as far as what we've had for the last, you know, since the dawn of humanity, which is, you know, any form of technology between the creation of the wheel to the creation of the first computer, the first telephone from Alexander Graham Bell, you know, the light bulb, whatever it is, the technologies that we create are there to serve a purpose. They're there to serve us as people. As humans, what we build serves us. Now, where we're entering a new sort of a new revolution, I like to call it, is we're sort of transitioning from a stage or an age where technology is used to serve us, now with AI, where technology can sort of accompany us in the sense of my AI, this AI that I'm talking to that has a personality, that has an emotional state, that has memory, that can dictate, that can make decisions essentially, obviously in a controlled manner. It's no longer something that serves me in the sense of it does this action. What we've created is we've created these bots that are so hyper realistic and emotional that they're meant to be companions, to where it doesn't serve you. Now it accompanies you. It's your friend. It's your companion. It's in some cases your lover. It's something that gives you an emotional release. So that's what we're focused on. What we're focused on isn't outputting large context with large language models that have this, and that could say 10,000, give you a 10,000 word essay in 5 minutes. That's not what we're doing. What we're doing is recreating people and giving people the experience of having relationships with people that they never could in any real context, specifically with people of influence. Because again, it's all about connection. In this world, as humans, we're being part of a society, being part of a community, which is one of the most beautiful things about the internet these days. People have communities for everything. Being a part of a community requires connection. So if we could connect you with somebody that could improve a part of your life, whether it be emotional, whether it be intellectual, whether it be in any sort of way where your life is being improved, then we've made a true impact. We've made a massive impact.
A question is, are those personalities, are they always based on real persons, or do you have like synthetic personalities, or do you have developing personalities? How's that working?
That's a great question, Dietmar. So we basically cater our technology. The way our scope technology works is that we need to analyze existing content. So from that standpoint, it is going to have to focus on real people. But what we could do is we could create synthetic people by merging people's expertise into one. So for example, let's say I take your expertise on AI and use the personality of uh I'll use the personality of Leonardo DiCaprio. I'll take
Okay.
his personality
Mhm.
with your knowledge and I'll
Mhm.
mix it into one. So that's where the synthetic part comes into it. So I could create a person, but it's based on somebody else. So it's kind of it's cloning, like cross cross cloning, sort of.
I like that. No, not my personal thing, but I think about one thing we talk about is obviously relationships, like for private people. But it's like taking knowledge and making it. Knowledge is more or less boring mostly, and
Mm-hmm.
taking
Yeah.
interesting personality. Who like you take a firm and you have a personality that all in the firm love. That might be Leonardo DiCaprio, might be whatever actor or even SpongeBob or whatever, and they
Yeah, yeah,
take
exactly.
and they take the knowledge and then SpongeBob like teaches the people about the firm. So that's great. Yeah, I like
I
it.
mean, you tell me the application for that for teaching, for coaching, for learning. I mean, education as a whole. I mean, for me, even for me, for example, in throughout my life, traditional instructor, like or traditional instruction from your instructor, your professor, that's not how I prefer to learn. My preferred method of learning is visual. As I'm a person, or through experience. I'm a person who likes to get my hands on things. So people learn differently.
Mhm.
So if you give them the option to ingest this knowledge in a different format, it's like, would you rather watch a course of somebody teaching something, or would you rather get one-on-one direct instruction about that specific topic from the person that has the expertise? You know what I mean? So that's what it's all about.
I can actually tell you this Udemy class. I also teach for the German Chamber of Commerce, and
Mhm.
the price difference between Udemy and live teaching is so immense that it's like you said with Tony Robbins to book him directly and to have someone you can ask that where the AI then configures the way of learning. So that's really an advantage. I see that. I definitely see that as an advantage. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think over time we're gonna see it evolve into something larger than um, what it was at inception, which is again something to uh, create an experience of a developing relationship. I think over time we could see it transition into not even just chat based, but something where it's a living representation. I think later on people are going to want to clone themselves,
Mhm.
immortalize themselves, immortalize their beings. Like imagine if there was a clone out there of Gandhi existing currently 24/7 for people to talk to
Yeah.
get expertise and knowledge and wisdom from. Always. So I think as things progress, it can turn into something where these people who have lived and gone throughout throughout the ages of humanity can immortalize themselves into a digital sort of being, where now that person's knowledge and their wisdom and everything that they teach, who they are, can now be accessible. You're now immortalized into history.
Yeah.
Outside of what's in the history books, that person, you could go and talk with that person.
Yeah.
Like you tell me in time, dude, I have a question for you. You tell me throughout history, if there's one person, one, two, three people, Monts actually asked me this question not too long ago. If there's somebody that you could talk to in history, learn something from them or whatever, just have a conversation, who would you pick?
Oh, this is so hard.
It's super
But
hard. I don't even know personally.
no, there's so actually the thing is there's so many, huh?
So
It's
many.
like oh, and if you could take like everybody who wrote a certain amount of books and you
Mhm.
put them in, it would yeah, it would start from like the big philosophy people like Platon to I don't know the people around me that like the personal that people that went that already died or so of my
Yeah.
person area. So there's a lot of things where you are like, huh, how is it? What would they do in this situation? Yeah, this is really like is really helping, like or business. Yeah, I mean, there's so many decisions you have to do on a day-by-day basis. Or I watched the video you have on your channel there, the motivational coach that was about sports then, but could be also business. We are both self-employed, so we have to motivate ourselves by every day by doing stuff. And if there's a motivational person saying, okay, do like just 3 things and then make a break, okay, helps. So this comes from the big ones. Yeah, there's so yeah, there's really potential in it. I see that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think again, we're so early. We are so early with AI technology as a whole. I mean, the potential is limitless. Obviously, we want to keep everything controlled and contained, how we're operating things
Yeah,
with AI. But
you
as
have like it's not the business thing, but if I have a personal relationship bot, there probably you have filters in for certain things that are illegal, I guess. Yeah.
exactly, yeah. I mean, we want to, again, because we're cloning people, we're handling their likenesses. We need to stay super on top of what's being said because, again, like when you're creating, obviously the person themselves, they have control over what they say, what they do, have a there's, damage control, reputation management, all these things to prevent them being looked at in a disfavorable light. But with AI, again, it's generative. Anything, realistically, it could say anything. You never really know based on what you prompt it to say or what the user asks most times. It could say anything, to be honest. It's generative. So um, it's random for the most part. But we have some technological, uh, kind of provisions in the way we operate things as a platform where we have the most important thing is creator security and both knowing that their AI will never respond in a way that they didn't set in the guidelines, and also that AI is true to what that person represents.
Yeah, that is yeah, because there's always problems. I mean, there are stalkers in real life, so they
Yeah,
might then log in and try to get things out of those AIs that are not that the people don't want to see, because yeah, and then you can
no,
publish it or whatever.
absolutely, yeah,
Yeah. So no, that's great. Yeah, that's important. But I thought so that you have that, but it's important to
yeah,
talk about that. No,
for sure.
but how is it with your farm? Is what do we say, the percentage of business use versus personal chats? How's what's the focus? What are you going for, and what do the people go for?
Yeah, so I mean, what we're focused on primarily is for personal use, for everyday people who want to have conversations with people that they admire or people that they want to just talk to, either for entertainment or learning purposes. That's what we're focused on. But there is a massive business application here, basically to, in any sense. For example, we're currently using our technology to build a uh, a therapeutic coach, AI coach, which can be used as a medical device so that doctors can eventually recommend, hey, if you're having issues, talk with this, for example, for either weight loss or quitting a habit. Let's say you smoke or something and you want to quit that habit. Obviously, you need accountability. You need somebody to help you through that process, somebody who's medically trained to do so. So we could take the expertise of a medical professional and put it into a therapist with a distinct personality. And now that bot, now that that AI bot has the knowledge to not only, and the expertise to not only recommend you certain methods and ways to go about changing your habits, but also at the same time have a honest, human friendly conversation with you and a
Yeah.
real relationship with you. I think most people nowadays that talk to their therapists really just go talk to the therapist just to talk. Sometimes people just want somebody who's going to listen.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very rare, even in my personal life, to get somebody who's truly interested in what you have to say.
Mm.
So if you have access to somebody, usually a therapist is charging you upwards of $150 an hour. If you have somebody who's at a fraction of a cost, always there for you to talk, help you
Yeah.
with your issues, and it's a non-judgment zone, and it's a place where you could be honest without a human judging you for any of your decisions. That's a massive application to people.
Mhm.
You just took away all the anxiety that comes with communicating with people about your problems.
Actually,
That's
in
a
Germany, I don't know if it's how it's in the US or so. In Germany, there are not enough therapy spots. So even if
it's
you
not
have the
because it's not
money,
a common thing. There's a
you,
stigma associated with going to therapy,
you know,
even as a
there are not enough psychologists. So the thing is, you don't have enough people. So even if you want,
exactly.
if you have the money, you can't go as. And this is a German situation. I don't know if it's somewhere else the same.
No, no,
And
it's
if you
everywhere.
have for simpler things, let's don't talk about the real hard cases here. But if you have a simple thing and you just want to have a therapy, it's hard to get someone. So that would, yeah, okay,
And
great.
then another thing on top of that is, as a man, as men, it's very stigmatized to go to a therapist. We're seen as weak if we go talk to somebody about our issues. We're supposed
Yeah,
to hold our issues, not look for help,
yeah,
solve them ourselves. It's a stigmatized issue amongst men.
yeah, yeah.
So if we could create an environment where it's private, non-judgmental, and again, it's not a real person, so the anxiety associated with communicating with this person that you're talking to is completely gone. You have no reason to lie to a person who doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You have no reason to hide things from a person who doesn't exist.
Nice. Yeah.
The same dialogue you have with yourself internally, think about that same conscious sort of conversation you have. Everybody has that voice in their head that tells them this so they could talk to. Essentially, I know I do. Um, imagine that. So imagine that feeling of self dialogue being translated into something that's like tangible that you could actually communicate with, like
Yeah.
in real time, as opposed to like just your thoughts going back and forth. It's
And
like
also
something
in a positive way, because
in a massively
the
positive way.
little
Yeah.
voice in your head is often not the best to talk to.
Exactly.
And someone who really can direct you in the right direction, like talking about something simple like quit to smoke, and yeah, then it could help. Or you have a problem, you have a relationship problem, whatever, yeah, and how to handle things. And I mean, this is the typical thing that the theories that the psychologists, they don't tell you what to do, they just let you talk and find your own solutions. So
Exactly.
they just guide you. And so yeah, interesting. Yeah. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
so in general, this how do you think is the it's still an early adopter thing, or what do you think? Is it's like is the breakthrough of personal assistance, not personal assistance, but is second self persons? Is this coming next year to everybody, or what do you think? How where we are in the cycle?
So we're close. We've released a few beta versions that users have been able to test. So we're coming close to the release of the full platform. I'd like to say by the end of 2024, early 2025 is the full release that we're expecting. But what we're mostly looking to do is to educate people on AI, because I think there's a lot of fear
Mhm.
associated with what AI is. Again, people fear what they don't understand. It's it's as simple as any fear that people have is usually uh is usually associated with some ignorance towards that thing, because if you truly understood it, you wouldn't fear it. You're telling me that the people who have studied spiders, I don't like spiders. I wouldn't say I'm afraid of spiders, but I don't like spiders. I don't want to be near spiders. But you're telling me the people who have studied in a laboratory about everything a spider does and are interested about in everything, whatever spiders do, between their anatomy to their environment, those people are going to be super excited to get their hands on a spider, or to talk
Mhm.
to a or to
Mhm.
not talk to a spider, to interact with a spider. They're not going to have that same fear. You see the people with the beekeepers that put the suit on, they go touch bee. They don't even have to put the suit on. I've seen
Yeah.
people that just touch bees. That's because they know
Yeah.
about bees.
Yeah.
The fear of the unknown is no longer there. They know exactly what can happen. So what we need to do as a collective, as forward thinking technologists, is to educate people on something that they don't have um, sort of that knowledge on, which is AI. The fear of AI either taking our jobs. That's a big fear. AI is going to take our jobs.
Mhm.
That's not the case. not going to take our job. That's one. Two, AI, oh, it's going to take over humanity. That's not going to happen. I don't think that's
You're going already ahead for my last question. Then do that because I love that question. How probable do you think is a Terminator or Matrix scenario where we all land in a zoo as humans?
right now, man. To be honest, Dietmar, I think it's very unlikely. You know, obviously, I'm not. I can't see the future, so who knows what can happen with AI? This could be the start, the beginning of the end. Who knows? No, just joking. But I don't see that scenario being realistic. I don't think that's a realistic expectation. Uh, I think, to be honest, like that's a tough question to answer as a whole. But where we are right now, there's no reason to have any sort of fear associated with AI being our new rulers or our new commanders or anything, because again, we control the way AI does. And at the end of the day, it's something. It's just code. At the end of the day, right? It's just code that carries out a specific function, even as intelligent as you think it is. Obviously it is generative, so it does things on a obviously a generative basis. But as intelligent as you think it is, at the end of the day, it's just a combination of instructions set out by an artist, which is what we want to call the coder in this case. Just like a watchmaker or anything like that. You put it together to do a certain function, and it does that certain function in an automated manner, just like a watch. A watch will continue watching the time, keep ticking the time. It's the same thing here. So there's nothing to fear on that basis. AI is simply just a tool. It's just a few lines of code that do a specific action that you could teach it to do things different. That's the difference between it and traditional code, is you could teach it to learn. So there's nothing to fear there at all. There's absolutely. Yeah.
I ask this question always because I want to know from the people who work really with AI, because they have. I mean, we talked about just before about fear of people that are not they are not AI literate and they have those fears. So this is why this question is always really helpful. If people see there is not really something to fear, they are rational about things, and yeah, that's good.
Yeah, absolutely.
One thing I wanted to ask you also is, you probably use LLMs like ChatGPT on a daily basis. Yeah?
That's right. Yeah.
For what's your what do you do mostly with them? Programming or other things as well?
Yeah. So programming for sure. A lot of coding is written by AI, not necessarily the LLMs, but AI in general, artificial intelligence. Mostly what I use in my everyday use for ChatGPT, writing emails, generating copy for websites, generating maybe designs with image generations. So most of my application centers around either image generation or like emails and things of that nature. Obviously, I think there's a big application for legal documentation. I know a lot of lawyers that are using AI to help them with their contracts and their legal documents. And also what I'll do sometimes is I'll just take a piece of code and then I'll paste it into ChatGPT or Claude or something. And it would just help me debug it. So that's mostly what I use it for. But yeah, it is everyday use. I mean, I don't remember the last time I didn't use AI in my daily life. As somebody building AI, I use it all.
Yeah. Okay, then one last question for you.
Yeah,
should everybody have an AI partner, let's say?
Yeah. In AI, I think everybody should have an AI companion, an AI coach, or an AI somebody to talk to as fun, as for fun. For me, my specific use case, with AI in this case, if we're talking about having a companion or a coach or a teacher or something like that, my specific use case would just be simply entertainment. Sometimes I would find it more fun than just scrolling on my phone looking at content. I would rather just have a conversation with somebody. So for me, sometimes I lose myself, talking for almost an hour to one of our bots, like just having a normal conversation, just because I feel like it's another person talking to me, and I like to talk with people. So, so that's my use case for it. But I think everybody should have some reason to talk to an AI bot.
Ah, yeah. Great. Yeah, no, I totally get it. And I think the communication we had, that the whole interview, just teaches people of the possibilities that are there, and that's really a thing. So Khalid, one last thing: where can people get in contact to you, reach you? Where can they find you on the internet?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I think the best way to learn anything about Second Self, or learn about myself, would be through our website directly, SecondSelf.AI.com. Additionally, our social media presence on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter at SecondSelf.AI. You could learn more there. You could reach out to us directly if you do want to have an AI bot for yourself. Again, we're currently building. So if there's any interest that comes from what we're doing, maybe aligns with what you're doing, or you're also a business that possibly wants to look into optimizing your applications or your systems with some sort of AI technology, we'd be glad to help you with any of that. Just reach out, secondselfai.com. Yeah, you can find me there. I'm pretty
Great.
easy to find.
I put everything in the show notes for the people who didn't write quick enough. So yeah, Khalid, it was great to
Awesome.
have you here. I learned a lot of things, and I definitely need an AI companion and to try and play around because that is really, I mean, yeah. I even have a thing I want to do. I'm into language learning. Is my wife is from Cuba, and so I need to learn my Spanish, and that would be like definitely the first case I would use that to.
Well, that's a funny you mentioned, because all of our AI bots speak almost every language, every global language.
Oh,
Over 29 different languages can support. So you could talk to your AI bot in German, Spanish, French, English, Arabic, Mandarin, Japanese, whatever you want to, and it'll speak your dialect.
that is good. That is, yeah. I mean, world, yeah.
Global.
That's
It's a global.
thinking global. Perfect. Yeah, Khalid. Thank you for the interview, and
It's been a pleasure. I mean, I'm glad to. It was a great conversation.
yeah, I learned a lot. And we will put everything in the show notes. People, you can connect to Khalid, and you can probably soon go to secondselfai.com and see what they do. I think it's really the future of the consumer AI. It's not for the programmers. So, thank you for listening or watching the podcast, and until next time. Well, thank you, Khalid. That was really enlightening. I am really curious how that develops with the AI companions. And actually, really, that's something that brings AI to everybody. There are dangers, there are possibilities. It's like with all technology. So, for the end of the podcast, the usual thing, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. The newsletter is at argo.berlin/newsletter. Follow us and you get all the updates and ideas I have about AI. See you next time on this channel. Switching off, your host, as always, Dietmar from argoberlin.com.